They try to discredit each other. Even within the same certifications, I had people trying to discredit me and just battle each other over territory.
I have faced so much more competition and backlash since becoming a survival swim instructor.
The only way I thought I could survive in the industry was to change and grow so that I could escape that toxic environment that was being created.
You're not going to tear me down. We're not a competition. We should be able to build each other up.
If you're only after the low-hanging fruit, are you really doing the children in your area a service?
The survival swim world is powerful. It saves lives, but it's also just a little complicated. And today we're talking about the parts that no one really wants to talk about. Welcome to the Swimpreneur Diaries. I'm your host, Londi Johnson. Today I am joined by Kara. She's the founder of Olaloa Swim Academy in Hawaii, who has been certified through multiple structured programs, including one that we'll politely be bleeping out because, well, we don't need that drama. In this episode, we unpack the tension between structured certifications and autonomy, gatekeeping versus quality control, competition inside the survival swim world, why accessibility matters just as much as safety, and what it really takes to build a swim school without losing your heart in it. Kara shares how she blended multiple certifications into something that's uniquely hers. We talk why some instructors get stuck both in and out of the water. We talk about retention, hiring, and the reality of running a team. And we even talk about what happens when survival swim becomes more about territory than it does about kids. If you're navigating the tension between following a system and building something of your own, you're not going to want to miss this. You grew up in Oahu? Is that where you grew up?
Yes.
Okay.
Kailua.
And what was that?
Kailua, the windward side. Have you
Okay.
been to
No,
Hawaii
I
or
haven't.
Oahu? Okay.
So I'm from Vegas, and I have a lot of sorority sisters and friends actually that are from like Maui or Hawaii, in general in Hawaii. And they're always saying like Las Vegas is the ninth island. Is it the ninth?
Yeah. That's what the thing is. Yeah. My first time away from Hawaii was to Vegas. So
Was it?
yeah, that was my first
So,
trip ever.
yeah, and there's like really good Hawaiian food in Vegas, like different poke and sushi and stuff. So I'm sure that has a lot to do with it as well.
An L&L. You guys have an L&L?
Yeah, we do.
And now a Zippy's. Zippy's is there too.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. And then you've built a team of instructors. You've also founded 2 swim schools or 1?
It's technically 2, but 1. So
Okay.
It started off with Olaloa, and then I brought in a partner for a short period of time. And then she transitioned to doing other things, like traveling with her family and such. And then I, instead of carrying on that name, we dissolved it, and then I just took back my old swim school name. But all along, it's been the same roadmap, just we switched names and tried a different company names for a bit, and then switched back to the company that I am running now.
Okay, cool. And then you've also done a structured program. So you went through a different program and now you've constructed your own that you implement in your school?
Yes. I've been through a few different certifications. Ever since I was younger, actually, I've had a lot of more water safety work. I didn't come from a swim background. I came from kind of recreational sports, and then junior lifeguarding was my main, after school activity. And then from there, just kind of always been more on the water safety side of things versus that traditional swim lesson path. From the get-go, I just taught a little differently.
First, I guess, tell us a little bit about the different certifications that you have.
Yeah, so I received a survival swim certification. I went through an adaptive certification program, and then as well as one from Australia. So I have a survival swim background with, I'm certified through them. I have a swim angelfish certification, which is an adaptive certification. And then I'm also certified with Worldwide Swim School, which is the basis of all of our instructors' certifications that we utilize.
And this is at your school?
Yeah, Olaloa.
Okay, cool. Within those 3 certifications and what you've gone through, have you found to be both good, supportive, but also unsupportive, and where there's tension that lies there?
Support systems can be a little hard to find when you are working in a competitive mindset. So I found that my biggest struggle was working with people who were very competitive and they might have come from competitive sports. And those that came from different industries were a little bit less competitive mindsets. Support system, they each had their own support system that were valuable if you could tap into them and build relationships. So it just took time and effort to get to know people. With my survival swim certification, they did have ongoing support. But what I found was a barrier was that by the time I got the videos to be reviewed by them and the feedback, I had already problem solved on my own, which is when I kind of stopped relying on that video review. I would end up sending things to friends that have worked with children a lot longer that weren't even in the survival swim world, and they would be giving me feedback that would work. And then that's when I was like, oh, well, other things do work outside of what the cookie cutter kind of everyday 5 to 10 minutes, we're doing this one move. If that's not working, present something different. When I started getting help from other people, and then that was faster and more reliable, that's when I started looking for other certifications. Swim Angelfish, I haven't really worked too much with them. I received their certification. My background is actually in communication sciences and disorders. So I do have that special needs background academically. So when I jumped into their toolboxes, it reminded me of everything I had learned in college anyways. And I was like, oh, that is exactly what I'm doing, but in the pool. It also opened up, if I was to get stuck with even a typical student, it gave me more tools to work with them as well. And then from there, I looked into more certification, and I found Laurie Lawrence in Australia, who's in the Hall of Fame for his milestones of child development of swimming. So a lot of the philosophies that we use in our current school kind of stem from that buildup of what I've acquired. Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by the Swimpreneur Launchpad. When I started teaching swim lessons, I didn't think I was building a business. I just knew that I loved being in the water and working with kids. But over time, I realized something. A lot of swim instructors are sitting on an opportunity they don't even realize. They're teaching lessons here and there, maybe after work or on the weekends, but they don't have a pricing system, a booking process, or a real way to grow it into something that's sustainable. And that's exactly why I created the Swimpreneur Launchpad. It's a 3-month mentorship where I help swim instructors turn their lessons into a real business. Yes, even while they're still working their 9 to 5 or in school. Inside, we cover everything from naming your business and setting your pricing to building your booking systems, getting clients, and creating something that can eventually replace your job, if that's the path you want. We keep the group small so I can work closely with everyone. The waitlist is now open for the next cohort. If you want to join, just click the link in the show notes to get on the waitlist. Do you do a mixture of the 3 things that you've acquired and then just make a mixture for your swim school?
So kind of. I mean, it's like when you get new skills, you build upon that anyway. So it has blended itself into something new. It might not be new in the industry, but new to me and what we're doing at our school. I found that it gave a great platform. So each one, they are building blocks and pillars to what we do. But what really shaped it was my own children needing me, and things would come up. And then realizing that there's not one set way that a child learns, and that some kids need different things. And I wanted to be able to know everything to be able to provide children individually and not just one set plan. So it is a blended and a hybrid version of everything, but it's because also I don't want to stop my growth and my learning so that I could help any child that came to have lessons.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. It really does take, in some cases, like having your own kids and seeing that, and also having a mixture of kids and not being able to meet them where they're at, where you're like, there's just something here. There needs to be more to it. We'll come back to that, but I did want to circle back to what you had said about competition. I feel like that is something that we face so much in our industry. Yeah, so much. I did traditional swim lessons and I have some other certifications. I did that for the first 6 or 7 years of my swim career. And then I also have a survival swim specialty certification, but mine is infant aquatics. Similar, but different. And I think I have faced so much more competition and backlash since becoming a survival swim instructor than I ever did before. Not necessarily within my own community or network of instructors. There's a reason why we went through infant aquatics. There's an abundance amount of different survival courses, but just within the different communities of survival specialties and programs and certifications, there is so much competition and it can get really bad.
Yeah, and they try to discredit each other. Even within the same certifications, I had people trying to discredit me as well and just battle each other over territory. And it got very unpleasant when I was like, I wanted to do this to fill a gap, like to fill a void and to really get children access to quality lessons, and just having that black cloud of just negative energy from other people. It was really unhappy. And the only way I thought I could survive in the industry was to change and grow so that I could escape that toxic environment that was being created. I feel like I'm pretty much in my own world now, that it doesn't really affect me. But yeah, that competition and that ugly side of it is really disheartening, especially if you aren't bold. Like, I'm a little more bold and I'm like, I'm just gonna do this. I don't know. Do you know the infant aquatic instructor in Hawaii as well?
I do. Yes.
She's a bold person.
I've never met her in person. She is very bold.
Yeah. So she is another one that, the industry could have destroyed someone with, I don't know, like, we were just very bold and we had each other. We really connected. And I know people are like, what? Like, you're connecting with someone from a different certification. I'm like, yeah, but she has a good heart and she's in it for a good reason, and we help each other. Like, we are building up each other and it's not a tear down. So yeah, it's a very different world.
Yeah, it takes a special person to compartmentalize too, because I have to believe that all of us have a very soft heart inside for our kids, right? Because we're doing this, it's not just a random job. Like, we're doing this because we love children. We value life and we want them to thrive and survive. So at the core of who we are, I mean, we're good people. So it's hard to compartmentalize and then also stand up for yourself in the industry and say, you're not going to tear me down. We're not a competition. We should be able to build each other up. And there's so many kids. I mean, I'm having 2 kids right now. There's so many kids being born into this world. Like, there's more than enough and an abundance for all of us.
My big thing is, if you're only after the low-hanging fruit, and I mean those ones that whose parents are educated, the ones that are really going and knowing, like, we need this, then are you really doing the children in your area a service without really marketing and tackling and getting that education component in? So if you want those low-hanging fruit, then everything else with our job is hard, but we should also have that parental education component that drive us more students, even though I think all of us are full. We have wait lists. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody on the island has a wait list, so that is even confusing as to why there's so much split in
between everyone.
What is it?
I love what you said about low-hanging fruit, because it's true. There's so many people that don't know they need our services, and those are the people who are at most at risk. Those are the children who are most likely to end up in some sort of aquatic emergency. And it's going out to the vendor booths and sitting outside for 6 hours in the heat so that you can reach more people. It's going out and handing out flyers that's going to reach more people too. But we all get the same types of inquiries of people that know that they want survival swim, so they're inquiring with everybody, but there's so much out there. You're right.
And there's niches. Like, I had a following for a whole session. Most of my students were like this one Mormon mom group that found me. And then this next session, I have like all this Australian families that have found me. So there's different niches of people that you can reach out to. There's a military. I don't know in your area if you have so much military, but we do on Oahu.
Yeah, we're a military family.
We're in your station?
Yeah, so there's tons. Yeah, so I teach in Vegas and in California. My husband's Air Force. We're near Navy and Marine bases. So all around us, there's everybody in my neighborhood, like every other person is military or police.
So particularly like with us who are close to military or a part of the military, we have people PCSing every 4 years. So we have a new, fresh influx of just people we can reach, which is great because not a lot of them were in areas that they had swimming available to them all year round. And when they come to us, now they do. So it's just great that we can reach so many people that way. But to think that there isn't enough to go around, I don't know. Like, I think there's always enough.
Silly.
Yeah, silly. Trying to be nice,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's silly.
Yeah, a little bit. Okay, so then let's circle now toward like the founders and the creators of these programs. They often have a very strong protection of their methods. Where does that serve our community, and where can it get a little tricky?
I think if you're building something and you're trying to make a difference, there are things that you have to keep close to home. Like, you don't want to share your entire secret sauce with everybody, right? Like, I'm not going around and giving people my whole curriculum or telling them how we onboard and get people trained up. If people want help, I'll try my best to help them, but I'm not going to sit there and teach them exactly my sauce, right? So for those people who created those, that makes sense to be protective as they want to grow as a company. Because now the company is its own entity and they have to be in the best interest of that entity. So it makes sense. There are things that I think Maury Lawrence is the one that's the most accessible. Have you heard of him at all?
No.
So Worldwide Swim School, he does all of the swim safe in Australia. If you look up his videos on YouTube, he has so much free, just informational videos. And I started just watching his YouTube videos at first, and then I went and got the certification. So he's the only one that I've seen to be the least gatekeeping and then the most affordable certifications out there. And then Swim Angelfish, like I said, I haven't interacted too much with the owners. They have provided, I think, in the initial training, like, you can't share their exact sauce, right? Like, that's for them and what they do. But for the most part, they've all, when we had the swim retreat last year, I wasn't a part of it. Did you go to that swim retreat? Were you a part of that?
I didn't. There was an infant aquatics one at the same time.
Okay, that's a bummer. I don't want to butcher her name. I think it's Eileen or Arlene.
Okay.
She came out to Tammy's in Mackay, where it was hosted at for the swim retreat, and she shared a bunch of knowledge for free to all the coaches. So I've never experienced it personally or her, but I know she does go into those worlds to, like, if people want information, she's ready to give it. So of course, like, you have to have a protective labor if you want to survive. But I do think there is a lot of gatekeeping with specifically the survival swim girls, where they're like, we are the top standard school, or we are the top standard program. You're not doing it right. There's procedures that have to be done. You're not doing any of it. You're not safe, which I've seen both. I've seen instructors who came from that certification that were not safe, and it was very dangerous. And what they were doing gave everybody a bad name, because it's always that negative one that everyone kind of sees in both. We've seen it in both industries, but I don't know. It's hard to say that somebody who figured it out on their own and they're teaching swim, float, swim isn't providing a quality program. We can't say that, right? Like, they're doing a great service, and they could be better than somebody that's been certified or made a master in this other program, but they just didn't have that same path to learning or that same certification.
I think back to when I was a solely traditional swim instructor, and I had not even heard about swim, float, swim or survival swim or anything like that. And I was like, I'm going to create something new. I'm going to call this the swim, float, swim. And I was like controlling it with like hand movements, all this whole thing. And then one day I was like searching, like, I need to expand. I need to figure out what I want to do. And I went down the rabbit hole, and I realized that I did not invent anything that was special
like
or new.
You're like, that's why when you were like, oh, I was like, well, I didn't, like, it's new to me, but it's not new. Like, I bet you there's way more people who have, like, taken all these certification and they're doing something similar. It's just, we're like, but that's so great. So, like, you kind of were foreshadowing, though, yourself. You're like, now you're like doing it.
Yeah, and I went through my certification, and I remember one night I'm thinking to myself, like, I was just saying swim, float, swim. Like, I wonder if this is even trademarked. Like, someone's going to sue me. I'm not even doing this correctly. But it's just funny how we come up with our own stuff. I mean, because we're human and we do so many things with so many kids. Like, of course, our stuff is going to overlap. And the way I taught swim, float, swim is nowhere near the way I teach swim, float, swim now. Yeah. But it worked for me then, and it was working for me then. So there's no one to say, like, what you do is incorrect. Now, we could talk about safety standards as a whole different ballgame, but as far as incorrect methods, I just feel like there's not one size that fits all.
I agree. Like, so my coaches, I tell them there's no wrong way to really present things. The only thing that people get caught up in is not building that independence for the child fast enough and to
Yeah.
fade and like really get them to get that skill like faster. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing that I see other coaches who have come to me for help. Like, well, how do you get them to do that within 8 days? Like, how did you teach that in such short period of time? And I'm like, well, you have to really think about how much you're doing something and how much you're giving them support or they're relying on you versus are you letting them go? Or when they're reaching, are you like just, letting them kind of get there a little bit faster and
Yeah.
things like that. So I think it's really a lack of plan to fade, get people hung up and they get stuck with a student and they're like, I don't know what to do next.
Yeah, and let's talk about that just for a second and then we'll
Yeah.
move on. But fading, I think, is such a big, it's probably, I mean, not everybody has heard the terminology, but fading is so important and loosening up what you're doing. There's different ways to say it, but if you don't sit there and look at your child as an individual child and think fast, really. I don't know how long your lessons are. Mine are 10 minutes. So think really fast. Like, what am I doing wrong right now? Or what can I do to help them a little less? How can I make them more independent? All they're going to be is dependent on you.
So our lessons are 20 minutes because we do our curriculum, but then we have that exploration phase, which other programs don't allow. So the exploration phase really allows the children to build their own relationship with the water. And it's not me doing it to them. It's that they're in there and it helps set their boundaries real quickly. So they realize, oh my gosh, I've been playing all this stuff safely, but I decided to slip off and fall. Now what's going to happen in that? And we let them on the side, it's more of that learn to swim. We're mimicking like a mouth in, face in, and then we're trying to get them to do it. So it's kind of evolving, learn to swim, mixing it in, playing games with them, singing songs with them, where it's high repetition. The songs get them to remember their moves as well. So there's layers, like you said, of everything that we've been trained on just coming together in one. But yeah, so we're 20 units just because we add that.
Yeah, I like that exploration part because the more that they practice, the more that they feel kind of like their body, spatial awareness, I guess, trying to figure out how to move their body within the water on their own accords without someone saying, okay, now do this, grab the ball, kick, 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 just them playing, essentially. I mean, they're kids.
And then I found it helped just make happier students faster. Yeah. And that's a big part of it as well.
I like that. Wow. Very cool. Gatekeeping. So some people will say gatekeeping. Other people will say quality control. Where's the fine line for you?
Fine line is when you reach out to other instructors in the same industry and you are asking for help with something and they just won't give it. So quality control as well, gatekeeping, there's families that don't have access to lessons that are every single day, 4 to 5 days a week, and it costs a big lump sum up front. And I think that's gatekeeping, and it's only meeting that clientele. So gatekeeping has different layers when I refer to it. I think that quality control can be done with any program, but just making it accessible is where the gatekeeping comes from.
Yeah, and you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm hearing you say that gatekeeping can be for swimmers and parents too, making it inaccessible for all demographics. Okay, that's interesting. It's hard. It's a fine line, especially when you have structured programs and not everybody can come to like the six weeks, Monday through Thursday format of lessons, or maybe somebody else does every other day, like 2 days a week. They can't come to that. So there is a fine line of like protecting your program and your boundaries, but also honoring parents and kids and meeting them where they're at too.
If that's all you can provide is that structured program and that is what you can do your best at, that's okay. Like, it's not bad, but it's just when anybody is very like, well, your program isn't right, my program is correct. And that type of gatekeeping. And if you lean into them and ask them for help and then they won't work with you in any other like water safety coalitions, or if you're a part of some other event, it's very divided.
I do the format, so like the Monday through Thursday, 6 weeks. And sometimes I fluctuate between 3 days and 4 days. but I don't usually go more or less than 3 days. And there's an instructor that's maybe like 20 minutes away from me. I don't know her, but she pops up on my social media and I see what she teaches. Very similar format, but she does 2 weeks. And so I send people to her all the time. People that are like, I just want two lessons a week. I'm like, great, I can't help you with that just because of the way I run my school, but 20 minutes down the street they can. And I've never met her before. I don't even know her. I don't know her name. I think her swim school name is Swim Safe CA. So if she's ever listening. But I have her saved and I just send people that way because I'd rather you get plugged in with a swim instructor than
exactly.
nothing at all.
Like something is better than nothing. Exposure, I think, is the biggest thing. Like as long as they're getting exposure. I did see one lady who used floaties, like the puddle jumpers, in her lessons, and I'm like, well, I would like
Pushing
to
the
talk to
limit.
her though, just to see why and how and what she's working on. I never really got that far than just seeing a video, but I mean, there has to be a method to what she's doing as well.
Yeah, that's true. Quick pause before we get back into the episode. If you're a swim instructor listening to this and you feel like you're running your business entirely from your phone, juggling Google Calendars, Venmo requests, parent texts, and Instagram DMs, you're not alone. Most instructors aren't overwhelmed because they can't teach. They're overwhelmed because no one ever shows them the business side of running a smooth swim program. So I created a free resource called the Swim Instructor Systems Guide. Inside, I walk through the essential tools I recommend for managing scheduling, payments, and parent communication so that you can spend less time organizing the logistics and more time doing what you actually love, teaching. These are the tools that keep your schedule full without spending your whole day answering messages. If you want to download it, just click the link in the show notes. And if you're serious about turning your swim lessons into a real business, it's a great place to start. What were you trying to protect with Olaloa? What culture were you trying to exhibit in your school?
So accessibility is big. What I found is there are so many people turned away from survival swim without really knowing what it was. And they didn't think it was swim lessons. So I want to be first a water safety school, but we're kind of under the guise of we're teaching your kid how to swim. So parents don't know they need drowning prevention, but they know they need swim lessons. So we're trying to meet that need. Another research that I was just familiarized with this past year was the 15 competencies of water safety or aquatic injury from Stallman. Did you ever read that or?
No, tell me about it.
I'm also working with an aquatics academy in nonprofit. We're bringing lessons to the DOE in Hawaii. And their program is based on the research from Stallman. And I believe it's called 15 Competencies of Aquatic Injury. I can't remember the exact title, but I can send it to you after. So that's some of the building blocks that I also use now as well to make sure that we're meeting all of those aquatic injuries prevention components. And what I found is that with each program and certification, they all kind of meet a little bit of it, but not all of them hit all of the competencies. So it's really cool. It's really reshaped. I went on a tangent and I forgot your initial question.
That's okay.
But it's great.
It's okay. We're talking about culture and what you were trying to protect. So, I mean, that is what you were trying to bring to your school.
Trying to be more accessible. So I started teaching. I brought a Parent in Need program, which I created the curriculum for. And I am trying to hit on all those competencies in 2 levels. So level 1 hits the first 7 or 8. I have to look back. And then level 2, once the kids advance, it hits the rest of it. I also found in the Parent and Me lesson, within 30 lessons, if the parents commit to coming for 30 lessons, the parents themselves can also teach the children self-rescue. So we hit that component as well.
Wow.
So if they're dedicated, they're willing to learn, they'll spend extra time in the pool, outside of lesson. If they're very serious about it, they can also teach their child very safely as well.
Yeah, I can imagine just by watching, and if you were to get in the water and really observe and see like hand placements and talking about that fading and stuff, I can imagine that that could be possible, especially if they know how to push their child and challenge their child in an effective way.
Speaking upon fading, the whole program, it's very consistent and structured, and we focus on teaching fading. So the parents the whole
Okay.
time we're teaching them exactly the same thing. I'm like, okay, are you guys getting bored? Because I'm literally teaching you the same thing every week in 5 different conditioning activities. But they're like, no, this is great because
Yeah.
every time they get to learn something new that advances their child. So we had a bunch that
Mm-hmm.
finished out, and then we were like, okay, what do we do with you? They still want to do parent and me. And then we made the advanced class that takes over the rest of those competencies. So that's been.
Wow, that's cool. I would say a lot of schools might steer away from, because I've done it before. I've steered away. I do mommy and me classes, and then I'm like, okay, at 12 months, they need to enroll with me or they need to go elsewhere. We don't do mommy and me classes anymore. But this seems like a different way where you build trust, you have that accountability with parents, you're saving lives, and they can repeat it with their other kids. And at the core of it, you're not losing business or profit or revenue or anything like that. Like, there's no fear, there's no reason to gatekeep, because you're still hitting those same milestones that you would in
And I
business.
think it also,
Yeah.
bringing the parents in the pool makes them a little bit more aware that even after they've completed survival, there's still more things they have to learn and they can't just sit back. Because I've seen that dangerous side
Mm-hmm.
as well, where they're like, oh, they're waterproof. And then they're just hanging out talking because they're like, they'll just flip the float, they'll be fine. But there's so many things that can happen. So it really gets them involved and gets them to take it a little bit. And I think they just see how much work it is. I think sometimes we get taken for granted and they don't see how much work goes behind what we're
Yeah.
doing. They're like, oh, yesterday they weren't doing it, today they're doing it. Great. Like,
Yeah. There's value in it. That's really cool. What type of culture and environment were you trying to build for your instructors?
so I am a millennial and I'm like trying to be very flexible with people, but I've had a lot of
Yeah.
learning this year where I can't give people too much flexibility because then it just unravels. So I still want
Yep.
that open conversation culture where they're learning, and I really want them to be great coaches also and to get certifications and like ongoing learning. And it's an open phone for my coaches if they need something, if they need flexibility and time off. We try really hard to give it to them. I try to create more of a home feeling versus I'm
Okay.
your boss and these are my rules. But with safety, that part. So we do monthly manager meetings where we all get together and we go over
Mm-hmm.
things that we might see that's unsafe. Then we do quarterly meetings with the
Okay.
whole staff and quarterly trainings where we get them in a classroom and then we all video review each other. And together we kind of talk about things we could have did, talk about things that couldn't have been safe. And then from there, we have me and another senior person who oversees all the lessons and makes sure that all the kids are progressing and everybody is safe and following every protocol.
Okay. Do you struggle with hiring at all?
Hiring is pretty easy and it's just a little retention is funny. So we'll
Yeah.
get through training and I think people assume this is like a summer easy job. So I'm trying to think of a different title to put in the ads for hiring. They'll come in, they'll train, they'll get through the training, and then they'll realize how serious this is. And that's when I see the dropout. And I try to just take it with
Yeah.
grace and be like, okay, it's just not for them. It's a little bit more intense than they anticipated. Just because we require, those ongoing trainings, we require them to do ongoing certifications quarterly. So it's not just a drop in, I'm going to be a summer coach kind of position. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to find that balance. I had a traditional swim school, mobile swim school, and then I got my certification. And so I was the only one doing survival swim, but my swim school still existed and still did traditional swim. More of a mobile model. So like Uber, call an instructor, you need someone to come to you, that situation. And I struggled a lot. I struggled a lot with control. I just had Nicole Fairfield on here, and she's like independent contractors and they get to have their own autonomy and they get to do all these things. And I'm like, I could never do that because I have a control issue. I need to make sure that everything is flowing and kids are safe and instructors are going. But I also want to be understanding and I want them to have time off because it's their summer. And it's so hard, that like middle ground of not giving too much but not giving too little.
It is hard because then, like, if you switch coaches too much, also, people they want the same coach. So we're trying to figure out that as well. Like, it's hard, the retention. And then those that do stay on, like, things happen in life. Like, I've been out of the pool for a whole month with sicknesses. So I don't want to not give coaches that grace also. Like, if they are under the weather or something happened, like, I want to provide, like, home feeling, right? But then also there is quality control, and there is, like, how do we make sure that the kids are still progressing like we are promising as well? So we share internal notes with each other. Those video reviews help. And then we have one coach that kind of is an on-call coach that oversees. So they still come in and they still participate in lessons. And then if we know that somebody might come out, then we have them hopping around and switching. So everybody knows that kind of on-call coaches that are there. And it's helped. There are some pushback when there was one month when I think 4 of us were just very sick, and nobody was really, it was inconsistent, and it was so pieced together, and one family was really unhappy, and I totally understand. Like, if you have 4 different coaches in a month, there's nothing that's going to get done. There's no progress. The kids are just learning to be coach. So there's little things we're trying to work out. Are you still running that mobile school, or?
Well, I'm taking a break this year because I'm giving birth/maternity leave, all that stuff, in a very inconvenient time, July, between July and August. So we had to take a step back this year just to gather my thoughts and brain bites here. Still debating on whether it's going to come back next year, but I did have it for all of the other years, the last 9, 8 years. Yeah.
One thing like that children will teach you is that you have to eat. I'm a control freak. Like, I have a little bit of OCD with things, but
it's the millennials.
And perfectionism a little bit. But my kids have taught me that I have to kind of just let things go and handle it and figure it out. And sometimes the best you can do right now is not 100%, that you have to kind of split it up. So they've taught me a lot. Kids will teach you.
Yeah.
Very humbling. I used to get so much done.
Yeah. Very humbling. Yeah. How do you do? So when I did my quality control, it's hard to send other people to review. So we had like a trainer/evaluator instructor that could go out to see lessons, and we utilized that quite a few times. But we also did like report cards. So our instructors had to submit report cards every 4 weeks on every single child, and we went through it and we evaluated that report card with last report card and put them in like buckets. We didn't do a lesson plan, but we did have like benchmarks. Like, this child needs to learn how to do this. I don't care how you teach it, what your method is, but they need to be able to do this before they learn X, Y, and Z. And that's kind of how we kept quality control without having physically someone attend everybody's lessons. What are some things that you do at an actual facility?
Right now, we just started providing lesson sheets to each coach with our curriculum. And it has a list of day 1 to day 60 and what goals should be being worked on if they're following our roadmap. So that's one way we do it. We're going to start implementing it physically at the pool. Like, they know our curriculum, but we've never had a way to like keep tabs that way. We note share. So at the end of each shift, they have to put all of their notes in. And it's pretty detailed, similar to how we've probably had to track things. When you originally started having to track things, do you remember like all the notes you would take?
Yeah, every single time, so you wouldn't forget.
It also helps because then if we have a sub, they can read those notes and know exactly where that child was at and where that coach was at in that skill. So something similar we're doing. And then we also are submitting video reviews. So each week, that coach she'll either drop in on someone who really needs help and they're still developing their own instructional skill set. So she'll drop in with those people who really need that help. And then everybody else just has to submit reviews for the ones that we see that aren't making their goals. So if they're not tracking and say the coach will usually let us know, hey, we're at day 8 and they're still not putting their face or something random. I don't know, not putting their face in, or they still don't want to get their ears wet.
Yeah.
So then we'll start either going on site for that specific student or having, if we trust the coach, doing a video review. If they're a seasoned coach, we'll do like more video reviews.
Yeah, similar format, but I imagine much easier to do on a scale with someone there. I like the video format That's really cool because you get to see so much in a video, especially from different angles, than even if you are in the water, even if someone is physically in the water, just that video. And then you can replay it, you can go back, you can rewind it and do all these
Yeah, and I
different
tell
things
the
with it.
coaches that's how I initially became better myself, which is my own video reviews. When I couldn't figure something else out and I was waiting for a response, I would just sit there rewatching my own
Yeah.
videos with my notes and being like, oh, this is the point where
Mm-hmm.
I said, go, you can have the toy after you do this one float. And then I did 3 more floats, and now the kid is having a breakdown. And it's because I had
Yep.
promised something I didn't deliver. So I kind of found those
Yeah.
patterns and things. And I'm kind of teaching the coaches to be a little more attention detailed. So what are you saying? What are you doing before that child had this happen? Or they're saying, I don't want to get my ears wet. And you're being like, oh, well, you don't have to do that today. So you might have to change the
Mm-hmm.
language of the delivery. It's like, oh, I understand you don't want to do it, but, we're just going to get the edge wet and that's it. It's not negotiable, right? Like, we are going to learn these skills. We just have to frame it differently or present it differently for the child.
Yeah. We won't change the standard, but we
Yeah.
just have to reframe
And that's
it.
where all those other toolboxes help, because then now I'm really stuck, or one of my coaches is stuck. I can pull from those other toolboxes to help them.
Yeah, that's so cool. I was talking to Danielle Jacobson, the owner of Cascade Swim School, and she was saying we were just bonding over the trauma bonding over when our kids aren't doing something, our students aren't doing something we want them to do. And we're like, what did we do wrong? What are we doing that is not playing correct? Like, sure, kids will understand things differently, but what did we present wrong in the first place? Because there's always something that we do, whether it was an incorrect prompt or we promised something and then we didn't deliver on it. Maybe we said something in a different manner, gave them a different terminology that they had no idea what we were talking about. So we were just talking about how that moment of like, what did we do? That reflection.
I think what's funny is sometimes I can tell where a student came from based on what they're doing in the pool. Like, one of my really good friends, she's an ISR instructor in Kahala, and her kids always have this like hip twist. So I know when a student has transferred from her to me, because like they'll come in with that twisted hip. And I'm like, oh, you're from Christine.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a few other that have their little things that they've accidentally shaped, especially if you're a new instructor. When I was new, I had things that I accidentally would shape into kids all the time, like over leaning back. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like all my kids lean back too far. So did you have any of those when you first started? Like, you're like, all my kids do this.
Yes, actually, when I was first learning how to teach the turnover from like belly to back, I was teaching them how to do it more with like their arm and not so much of like a shoulder head movement. And so, or with their leg, I think I was focusing more on like the arm and the leg. So kids would like launch it over and then either continue and roll over. Yeah. Or they couldn't get all the way through. And so I did tons of videos. And for infant aquatics, we have very similar. You record and you submit, but it's more of like submit to a community forum where all of the instructors will give you feedback from people you don't even know.
Like that availability for other coaches to just kind of help you. That is so great.
Yeah. So sometimes we don't even hear from like the people that trained us, but just different instructors, which is cool because when we go to like the retreats and the conferences, we get to meet these people. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you helped me with this kid, and this kid. I didn't even know you.
Bonding thing that I felt, again, like a gate kept away. There was no access to like a real community in that world. I found Jacob, the Superhero Academy, his platform, and I feel like that's the closest thing that I've been able to get involved in. It's a two-way conversation where people are really willing to help with whatever you need with. And I'm trying to be that bridge as well and to lead by example that I didn't like it, so I don't want to do that to other people. But that's so great that Infants Aquatics has that embedded in for you guys.
Yeah, it's definitely a plus that I didn't realize I needed until I started to learn about the different programs and it was like, oh, this is amazing.
Even after, like, the training for survival swim schools are so intensive. And when you're done, you're almost like in shock of how much was thrown at you.
Yeah.
And you get in the pool and you're like, okay, now I am doing it. And you're having to go back and pause and really think things through. And it's great that you could lean into just other coaches that way that I know who knew what it's like to be thrown into the wolves, right?
Yeah, my first batch of kids are like almost going to age out now. They're learning their strokes, like those 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, and I still see things that turn that I told you. I still see it pop up every season with the arm and the leg, and I just think back to how many of it was probably like 27 kids before I got to figure out what the
Yeah.
root problem was. If it would not have been for that community.
What was the problem? So it was just where you were touching or where you were...
Yeah, it was where I was holding them and telling them, prompting them, and then just like not stopping the continuous roll. Instead of just showing them where I wanted them to stop and why, like, this is where air is.
You would let them roll and then they would just keep like tunneling over.
Yeah, you're right. And then I'd be like, well, what did I do wrong? I'm not understanding. Let's try again. And then it would happen again.
I had a great master instructor though. So that was a benefit, was I did come out
That's cool.
with things so ingrained in my head that it made it easy to problem solve. So that was a blessing. I've heard other people not so lucky, but yeah, I had a great master instructor.
Yeah, it does a big difference too when you get to or go through the program with really great instructors. So when I went through the program, I had 2 new instructors go through it. So it was 3 of us getting certified at the same time. And those 2 girls were amazing individuals. Like, we became the best friends, completely different stages of lives. One was had mom of 3, like, in teenagers. The other one was fresh out of college, like me, and I think a little bit older than me. But we just became the best of friends. And when we went to the retreat, we got to stay together, and we just went through the whole program together, got to review our notes, did all of our homework together, and we still talk all the time. So it really makes a big difference on where you're going to train, what program you're going to do, who's training you. Like, those things really matter, and I don't think it's set up front always because people want your money.
So yeah, you lucked out with your setup as well. Yeah. In your world, do you have inconsistency with like who trains people, or it's only the owner, right? She's the only one that trains.
No, there's multiple. So there's master, I guess they're not called master instructors, but there are multiple. There's a handful of them in different parts of the United States. So depending on where you want to go, I guess you would pick that way. I would say everybody trains the same way, but there are different methods that are specific to different trainers. So when we met at the retreat, we got to speak to all of them and hear their specific methods that they do. And once you get your certification in IA, you're able to go to any of those instructors to see how they do stuff. So you can do a whole another 6 weeks. You could do another 2 weeks. You could say, I just want to watch how you teach floating. And then you can get in the pool and literally watch and learn from them. So you can take it back to your school.
Yeah, I like that.
It's cool. I feel very blessed.
Yeah, the infant aquatics instructor out here always says how great. She's like, I love it. They're so awesome. She kept trying to get me to get certified, but I could not think about spending that amount of money again to get certified. I'm just like, that was like a lot.
Especially when you already have the core of it.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who is currently navigating the balance of feeling there's tension between having a structured program? Maybe they were taught a specific way, whether it was Infant Aquatics, WSI, Red Cross. They're balancing that tension of like, this is how I'm supposed to do it, and wanting that more of autonomy for their program or their school.
If you want, like, you need a lot of help in building your skills, then I think having like that very structured program is great, because then it gives you a breakdown of everything you would need to be successful and to get students to where they're at, where those benchmarks and goals are. With that being said, once you're comfortable, I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't explore and try to get more knowledge and more skills and education and be just a better coach, even if it's like coaching classes. Not everyone is a good coach. So you might have the skills to apply and get the kids there, but you might not actually have that coaching ability, which you might need that structured program that is very... Some people are natural coaches also. So it really depends on the individual and where you want to go and what you want to do. Like, if you only want to run a 6-week program or a 4-week program and you're happy with that, then that's fine. But if you want to grow and to support other coaches and grow your swim school, I think having flexibility is better because then you can help each individual coaches
Okay.
with their own strength. So if you were stuck only wanting to teach one way or one thing, you might not be able to reach every coach faster. And they themselves might need that 6-week training to get to your level as well. I was not unhappy teaching just survival swim. I'd say that I did like being able to have a finish line for students to be like, okay, you've met this and you're done. There were things that I saw that, kids being unhappy, or some would exit the program and just not be like they were just distraught. So I knew that I was not doing those students a disservice, and that bothered me, which is why I initially started looking into other things as well. It's like, okay, well, how do I enter and make it more play-based, or how do I help this individual child? Because if you are not calm in the water and you're not collected, same. So that bothered me.
Yeah.
So there were a few things that pushed me away from just doing survival swim, but I would say I wasn't unhappy only teaching it. It's just that I knew there were more things that I could be doing. So it's just what that individual coach wants. There's different things that make other people happy. Like they could just want to do their own programs as well.
What are some questions do you think someone should maybe ask themselves if they're in the middle of that tension time? Like, I don't know if I want to build something of my own. What do you think are like 3 questions they should ask themselves first?
If you have the ability to see setbacks as learning, so if I could go back into that first initial stage, I would say, okay, if it's a setback, am I going to just crumble and just be done? Or am I going to keep pushing through to try to keep building this? Building the swim school has been very, very taxing. So it's not always, it's going very well, but there are times where things happen and you have to be able to let go of emotion and just handle what's in front of you and not take it as a loss, not get down on it, and just keep pushing forward. So that's a big thing I would evaluate if you have that support system to do that, which would kind of go into step 2. I guess the second question is if you have that support system, because I do. My spouse is very supportive of what I'm doing. If there's like tonight, he took the kids off and it's late here. It's 9:00. The kids should technically be in bed, but they're not going to be. So he just, great support system. My parents, if I need anything, like right now I'm away and I needed things taken from my house to another pool, and I was really able to use my dad went and just did it for me. And internal, if you're able to manage people. So managing people is the hardest part of it. And being able to be friendly but stern and assertive. And it's not just managing coaches you're bringing in to train. It's managing parents, like managing caregivers, managing grandparents that are coming to watch lessons. Like there's a lot of people management that go into it. And if you don't have the ability to help manage people and to also take that emotion out of it, because sometimes people are very fired up when they speak to you, and being calm and collected is a big one. So just evaluating those things is important.
Yeah, the support system is huge. All 3 things, really, but the support system is huge. I think it was Danielle that I was talking to, and we were just talking about how our support system makes all the difference in our industry, especially because he said it's very draining. I don't know that I would be able to do anything that I do without my husband, literally nothing, if it wasn't for him. So it really makes a big difference who you have in your corner, who's rooting for you and who's going to support you in those hard times. But I love the not giving up. There's so many times I remember just crying on my computer, just crying like, I don't know, because you don't know what you don't know until you don't know. So
and from the get-go, get a good business lawyer. Like even if you're small and it's just you.
Yeah.
I was late in the game, and there were so many times I had to refund people where I was now in a negative spot, and then it was very like, I'm like, oh man, I need to pay for like my web page, and I have to pay for the phone systems. So once I got in touch with a very good business lawyer for small businesses, things have been easier to deal with and manage as far as clientele. So that's a big one. I would invest. First thing is the business lawyer with strong contracts. Yeah.
And that's part of
Yep.
your support system. That's part of that toolbox of the people
Mhm.
that you need to support you in order for you to run your
Yeah,
business
exactly.
effectively. What kind of leader do you think you've become since you've embarked on this journey?
Man, I don't want to say quite a leader. I'm just a mom with a heart in this work, and I
Yeah.
love these kids. Like, they come to me for lessons, and seeing them grow and thrive, and then seeing them in the community and being able to do community events with them. As far as leader, I wouldn't quite consider myself a leader. I just am a mom with a big heart.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I would consider you a
You
leader, so let me speak on that. I just met you 1 hour and 2 minutes ago. But I think that you're a leader. I mean, coming from just changing and pivoting from one thing to the X, that takes leadership. And doing two things, two different foundings from one business to the other, and then losing somebody and not giving up and still continuing to go. There's something about a leader who is humble and someone who cares about not just their money and not just their clientele, but also about instructors and the people that work for them and the culture that they want to exhibit. I know you're doing the Swim Professionals retreat.
I might have to talk to you a little more often. It's like a good ego boost. I'm like, oh, thanks.
Keep going.
I think you're the support system I was missing. Yeah,
Just come on the podcast and you'll get all the support you need.
you're a great coach.
But yes, no, I think you're a great leader. And so definitely do not consider yourself to not be
you.
one. Let's talk about the swim retreat professional.
Yeah.
What is it? What is it called?
Tammy she changed the name, so I don't want to misquote, but it is a professional swim coach retreat. And
Okay.
he hosted one alongside Superhero Academy last year. And then now they're doing their own individual ones. But the one that we're hosting with Tammy from Makai Swim School is going to be in Hawaii. We are looking at November 13th, 14th, and 15th. We are embedding a little bit of cultural experience with, Hawaii culture, along with Hawaiian water safety things as well. Or we're going to try to bring in some of the industry leaders in Hawaii to be involved. So yeah.
Very cool. Very selfishly, I'm just going to say this. I sent the Instagram a message because I want Tammy to come on here. So if you could talk to her, that would be great. Because I want to hear all about it. I want to know what's going into it. I think it's really big. I mean, the only conferences that I had known about prior to last year were my infant aquatic ones, and then the United States Swim School Association, and their retreat is always like $1,000 to attend.
Yeah, I'm really stoked that she chose Hawaii because I can't always make it to the mainland with my kids. My husband works out in Boston most of the time, so I get left solo parenting for weeks at a time. So usually it lines up right when I'm like solo parenting and I can't go out there. So I'm really excited it's going to be in Hawaii this year because I get to actually fully participate and help build up the retreat. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the dates on it and I texted my husband. I'm like, do you think it would be crazy to travel to Hawaii? I think the babies will be like 3 or 4 months. I don't know. I'm going to go on TikTok and see what people say.
Traveling with infants and younger, like small babies, is a lot easier than traveling with toddlers and children. My first son, I traveled the first year he was born until he was, I think that's the law. Their rule is like after 2, you have to pay for a seat. So I was like, we are traveling a bunch. So it was easier with him being small. And then once he became a toddler, it was just constantly trying to keep him happy and fed the whole flight. But with the babies, they just sleep. Yeah. Like, they're sleeping.
We might have to do it. I don't know. I'm trying to convince him. I mean, it's going to be a business expense.
Well, you could stay with us.
So, and we've never been. I've never been.
We have an extra guest bedroom, you guys. And we have a bunch of kids stuff. So you can come stay with us.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm going to convince him. What are you doing for the rest of 2026? We're about to wrap up Q1, but we have the rest of the year. What do you have going on?
So I brought in a project manager. He's helping us really organize. Again, building like my own support systems now also. But I am working on a book. I have it almost finished. We're now in like the rough draft editing, and we're going to start filming the modules for it. that should be done by the end of the year. With the project manager, hopefully all of it gets done now, because it's been a 2-year project of writing the book. But now that I have them, I'm really hoping it sets me a hard timeline to finish it on.
Yeah, it's very underrated having someone that is on you about time frames and stuff. I just started working with somebody for something completely different, but we just met this morning at 7 a.m. and she's like, okay, well, this is what we have to do. We're on a time crunch. Look, you got the next 2 weeks and this is what we're doing the next 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, girl, let's do it. But it's definitely hard to do it by yourself because everything is more important than what you think.
Yeah.
Than the book is.
And then, of course, as a small business owner, there's the day-to-day fires that pop up. I mean, I'm on my phone helping navigate and settle things and helping coaches, helping parents. So I really have to put time away to just turn my phone off, work solely on finishing that one project, which my project manager has been really great at that. The timeline. Isn't it funny? Like, we got into this to like be flexible. Oh, well, I did at least. I don't know about you, but I want to be my own boss. I want to do this. But now I boss so hard that I need someone in charge of me, like in charge of my projects. Like, you need to keep me on task.
Yes, I was a teacher before this. High school English was the last thing I taught, 9th grade English. And I was like, I'm leaving the classroom. Well, there's a lot that went into it, but I'm leaving the classroom and I'm going to have so much more time and I'm going to be my own boss and it's going to be great. And now I don't have to grade any papers. And it's been 20 times the work than it ever was to go teach my 9th graders how to punctuate correctly.
But we still keep doing it. So, we're not stopping.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. Last question. Oh, actually 2 more. 1, where can everybody find you if they want to connect with you, want to buy your book? Is this for instructors or for parents?
So it's a parent's guide. So you can follow Swim with Cara on Instagram or Olaloa Swim Academy. Swim with Cara is probably more easy to search for everybody. You could visit our webpage, olaloaswim.com. And I pretty much run everything. So if you do end up going on the Instagram pages or texting the phone lines, you'll get me. I'm the only answering.
Okay, cool. Okay, last question. Everybody carries a swim bag, and we want to know what are your top 3 things in your swim bag that's going to tell us a little bit about you, and it cannot be sunscreen, chapstick, or towel.
Oh, man. In my swim bag. So I have a laptop. I have a calendar, an actual physical calendar, because I cannot think on a computer or like when it comes to dates and time frames. I have to write it out. And I have, what else do I have in my swim bag? I have a sticker box, a box of stickers. Yeah.
Let's say the calendar. Tell us about the calendar. What does that say about you?
Oh my gosh. I have ADHD that needs to like physically write things. If you were to look at it, you wouldn't know what I was doing. You would see like, I know there's numbers, there's things highlighted. I have like the pool rents we owe because we utilize 4 different pools. I have like training dates on there. I have like this appointment on there. Like everything that you would need to know about my life have to be decoded. My kids and like their pickup times, who's they're breaking up, their
everything's on it.
Everything is on it. My brain is on that calendar.
And you're never afraid it's going to get wet or broken or lost.
I mean, knock on wood now, but if it does, I usually keep it off to the side away from the pool. And, you know, I try to like put it away and make sure the kids don't get it. I have had my phone thrown in the pool a bunch of times. So I'm really good about storing those other items away. But at least once a year, my pool gets thrown or my phone gets thrown into the pool. Something.
Yeah. Well, Cara, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. This was really fun. I had a lot of fun. I think I've laughed the most right now that I have in all my other recordings.
Yay. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining me.
It's been great. Thank you. I hope we can connect more, and I hope you come to the Hawaii retreat.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.